How to add texture to parts, lesson 8. In this lesson you will learn how to make those default looking gray parts looking interesting and lively. As you have noticed, if you create a new part, it is gray and solid. Perhaps you have a theme for your game. Perhaps you want to have candies so that players are jumping on candies, or perhaps you have a house and you want to have a brick wall or grass, or perhaps you want to make the environment scary because you have a horror game. So this lesson will help you to achieve that goal. Requirements. Of course, you need to know previous knowledge before you can learn this lesson. Previous knowledge is very basic. For example, you need to learn property view, tools view, explorer view. You need to know how to work with parts like move, scale, rotate, rename, duplicate. So if you don't know any of that, check out the previous lessons and you will learn them really fast. The first method how you can achieve that goal is we have to use a built-in property called material. Alright, open your game, and once you're in a game you can see your 3D view. If you have a part that you want to change the material of, just click on it. You can see it is selected, it has a blue border around it, and you can also see that it is selected in the Explorer view. Let's rename it just for the sake of example, and we rename it as wall so that we can easily find it. Once it is selected, let's open up our properties view, and in this properties view you can see there's a brick color, material, transparency, etc. We are going to choose the material attribute, and we can change here for different materials. For example, you can have a marble, you can zoom in, you can see it really close by, it looks quite realistic. You can add a bevel, you can have boots, and in my case let's create the brick wall. So let's just find it, we select it, and you can see it looks so nice, it looks almost real. And just for finishing the example, let's also change the color of the brick wall. So we can scroll here and I choose this one. So here you go. That's how you can choose the material and change the material of parts. The next method is to import textures and apply them to parts. In short, textures are image that repeats in a pattern. So let's see how to do it. So select your part that you want to add texture on. So I select another wall, and you can see that it's also selected in the Explorer, and I already renamed it as texture wall example. So how do we get textures? For that we need to open another view that's called toolbox. You already know how to do it. I make it a little bit bigger so we can see. Here we have a drop down where we can choose multiple things, and we have to choose models. And here perhaps there are different ways how to find textures, but the way I like to find is to type texture pack. Texture pack, these are models uploaded by other users, other developers on Roblox Studio. You can do it as well in the future, but I'm not going to cover it at the moment how to upload textures. However, now we search texture pack and we can see here multiple options. Just choose whatever you like. You can try multiple ones, and then you can see what you like, what you don't like, and you can delete the ones you don't like it. Anyway, I'm going to choose the second one, and let's hope that it's a good option. So we can see it is added in the Explorer view. You can see it in the Explorer view, it has added here. So let's make the tools view a little bit smaller. Let's go to the 3D view, and we can see there's some new stuff in that 3D view here. So here usually the way packs work, as you open them in the Explorer view, you can see very many parts, and that's what I told you before, that it's very useful to rename parts. It's very useful to create folders, so it's easy to find stuff. In this example you can see there are so many parts, so hard to find the useful part. But let's get into it so you can learn by example how to find good textures. So here let's zoom in the 3D view. You have to find the part that you like, and let's take, in my case, let's take this one. This one looks fun to me. I just click on it and it became active in the Explorer view. So this is this part. As you can see, if I click on this one, this is nicely selected. Another trick what you might be interested in, so if there's an Explorer view, I zoom nicely out here in the 3D view so I can see all of those parts at once. And now if I'm here in the Explorer view, you can see that's selected, and you can see this one is selected. And as I move, as I select like different parts here, you can see that different parts are getting selected here as well. So that's another method how to find the part that you are interested in. But in my case, I like this one, the skeleton. I just click on it with my mouse, and we can see that it got selected. So I will rename it as skull part. I rename it just so that it's easy to find. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it into my workspace. I make this copy paste because I want to delete the texture pack that I just imported. So I make the texture pack selected and I delete it. So now there is left only this skull part that I copy pasted into my workspace. I will just move the leftover skull part close to my other objects so that it's more easy to work with it. So let's just demonstrate how this texture works. And now if we make it a bigger, wider, you can see that this pattern repeats. So how can we get this same pattern on other stuff? For example, we can get the texture pattern here. We can put this texture pattern on this ball as well. So let's put it first on this texture wall example. If I click on the skull part, you can see there are multiple texture objects inside of that. We call skull part a parent, and everything inside of that is called children. You can also open your properties view. Another thing, as you have noticed, once I open the toolbox view, it opened top of the properties view. As you can see, it's top of each other. I will close the toolbox view. Now there's only properties view open. So if I select the skull part in the Explorer view, you can see there's a class name called part. And if I click on the texture object, you can see the class name is texture. And this class name, as you can see, it's a light gray, which means it's a default system attribute. So you can't change the value of this one. But for example, all the other attributes that are black, you can change the value of. So skull part is selected. We have texture in here, and let's select just the first one. I copy it and I will copy paste it into texture wall example. Now, as you can see, kind of nothing happened. Why is that? Well, actually, if you look up here, you can see that there is a texture. Okay, what it means? If you click on the texture object, you can see in the properties view, there's a face attribute. This face attribute defines where this texture is displayed. For example, if I click on front, it appears here. If I click on the back, it appears on the back side of the part. So if you want to have the texture on everything, you simply need to have all those texture objects, as many as sides you have. So in our case, if we have the part, we have top, bottom, left, right, front, back. So we have like 6 textures needed. The easiest and fastest method is just to select all those textures. You know how to select multiple objects because I taught you in previous lessons. So you select all of them, or you copy paste them one by one. So I will copy paste them all at once because it is much faster. So I copy and now paste into. And you can see now this wall has all the textures on each side. Now more interesting question is, how can we add the texture to the ball? Very interesting question. How can we do it? If I just copy paste it, I copy, I find the ball, I select on the ball. Let's rename it so it's easy to find, ball example. And now I copy paste it into the ball example. ball example, you see it also has sides. Even though physically it seems like all one side, it doesn't have any corners, but in Roblox Studio, even ball has front, face, back, left, right. So if I pasted the texture here and you see in the properties view the value is right, then it appeared here. So that is a very interesting fact about balls. So in my case, let's just copy paste it all the sides. That's the easiest and fastest method. Or if you want to do one by one, you can just add them on only on the sides that you want it to have. Another cool thing that you might be interested in is if you want to change the color of the texture. For example, if I choose this one red, then this side becomes red. And if I want to change the color of every texture, I just select all of them and I change the color red once, and now every side has a color. Another cool thing that you might be interested in is, for example, you can make the part transparent. So in the properties view, the ball example class name part, this is selected, and I just change the transparency to 1. And the cool thing happen now is that the ball is invisible, but the texture is still visible. If you want to make the texture invisible as well, you can just select them all or one by one, whatever is your requirement, what you want to achieve. And there is this transparency attribute, and you can just play with it. Maybe you want to make half transparent, or maybe you want to make completely transparent, but I don't see the reason why you want to do that. You want to have the texture at least a little bit visible. And of course, we finished the lesson with a task. So improve your game using those methods. Make some parts looking interesting. Perhaps you have some theme that you want this game to have. Take at least 15 minutes. That really is the only way to learn. And of course, have fun. You're learning how to make games because you want to have fun. And once it's done, once you have the game, show me the game later. You can add a link to the comments, or you can show that in person if I'm teaching you in classroom. See you in the next lesson.